Welcome back to another edition of Just Another Sports Betting Podcast, the best sports betting podcast name you can think of, considering how saturated the sports betting podcast industry is. You couldn't have come up with a better name, and I will stand on that hill forever. Anyway, hi, welcome. It's Week 10 college football. Blake, Tommy, how you guys doing?
What's up?
Doing fine.
I'll just put it out there. Yes, we're all wearing the same thing we wore yesterday because this is pre-recorded. So I just want to put that out. Everyone, if you're watching right now, we are not live. But
what?
You know, we did this early because I got to go to a wedding on Friday. Tommy's got to do some sort of wedding as well, I think. And Blake, well, it's Wednesday and you're free, so you're here doing it with us. That's basically it.
I am.
For the people.
For the people.
So, Week 10 college football. I think this week we're going to mainly just do the top 25 because of the situation. We'll do the all-important parlay, moneyline parlay at the end of the show. So, if you're into that, you can either skip ahead or watch out the show, and you'll get that at the end. So, I think we have to start as Midwest gentlemen. We have to start with this game, and it is Ohio State going to Penn State.
Big one.
This might be this might be the most intriguing game of the entire slate. Yeah.
It's up there.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane to me still. I know that they've been talking about it all week, but it is still insane to me this is not a night game. Like, this has night game, prime time game of the week written all over it, but Fox has the rights for it. They want big noon kickoff there, so it's a nooner for sure.
It's almost like it's very similar to like Ohio State and Michigan every year. It's always played like at the 11 or the 2:30 slate because it's always on Fox, and Gus Johnson gets on there and does his Gus Johnson things. And yeah, like
I love Gus Johnson.
I love Gus Johnson too.
Big fan.
I think he is so much fun. Like that is a guy that just loves his job and really doesn't care who's working with him because he's bringing him along for the ride.
Right. So anyway, the spread is at this point of recording is 3 points. I honestly don't see it moving unless something drastic happens, but it's at 3 points. Ohio State's a 3-point favorite on the road. The total is 45 points. I guess I'll start.
Yep.
Give me Ohio State -3. Okay. They should have, could have, whatever, lost to Nebraska last week. They should have, could have, would have. One thing that I'll say, and me and Tommy, we talked ourselves into taking Ohio State -25.5. We did not think about the idea of that game being a trap game, despite the fact that Ohio State was coming off the bye. I've now convinced myself that they are coming, that it was a trap game coming off the bye, and that is why Nebraska hung around, on top of the fact that Nebraska, I think you can make the argument that they bounced back after getting embarrassed by Indiana. And Nebraska's, Colorado is now, 5-2, and they steamrolled Colorado earlier in the year.
Sure.
I'm not here to say that Nebraska is an elite team or anything. So you take that with whatever you want when it comes to Ohio, looking at this from an Ohio State situation. But I honestly feel like Ohio State needs to win this game because they already lost to Oregon, and they need they need a big win on the resume. And beating Penn State would be the big win on the resume because when they play Michigan at the end of the year, it ain't gonna matter at this point. So they need to beat Penn State, and also like Penn State, this is like they need to prove that they deserve to be in this spot. Like they should have lost to USC, and they played Wisconsin last week. And as I've said, I'm not a believer in Wisconsin. And not only did they beat Wisconsin, they covered too on the road. So now they're at home, coming off that win on the road. For me, as I've said many times about other teams, this is a prove it game for me for Penn State. So I will take the team that I've grown to know, or the program that I've grown to know for years and years. As much as I don't feel like Ryan Day wins big games, he always finds a way to beat Penn State when that opportunity comes. So give me Ohio State on the road, -3. I don't hate the money line. It's at -166 on DraftKings, but I think they win by a touchdown on Saturday.
Tutty.
I'm going against you. I am taking Penn State. I got 3.5 on FanDuel right now. If it goes to 3, it doesn't change my mind too much, but you're getting Penn State at home in this spot. Like you mentioned too, it's kind of a prove-it game for both sides. And Ryan Day, when it comes to these big moments we were talking about before with the Bears, right? When you put an expectation and you keep putting an expectation on someone, they just let you down every time. And not only that, but I mean, like I said, I like Penn State at home. I'm not a huge believer in Will Howard. You can make the argument he's good, he's bad, he's okay. He played good against Oregon. But again, if you're giving me 3.5, I like the home team a little bit better. Give me the home dog in this one. But, like you said, I don't hate Ohio State, but just give me the Nittany Lions at home.
This will be the first game of the season that Penn State is an underdog. This will be the 8th of 8 games that Ohio State is the favorite going into the game. Penn State and Ohio State stink at covering the covers, covering the totals, covering the spreads. That's the one I wanted. They stink at covering the spread. They're both 3-4. But the most alarming one of these is Penn State is 1-3 against the spread at home this year. They're an undefeated football team to find a way to win. They're 1-3 against the spread at home. They're underdogs at home. I like everything that both of you said. I think you're both absolutely right. I have bet on Ohio State previously, and I got burned. I have bet against Penn State in the same week on the same day and got burned. I hate both of these schools with a passion, but I feel like this is a spot for Ohio State. They have nothing to worry about next week in Purdue. They have nothing to worry about the week after in Northwestern. As for Penn State, after Ohio State, they have to play Washington, which is okay, and then they're at Purdue and at Minnesota and then versus Maryland. This is their last test. This is it for Penn State. All they got to do is win this game, and they're cruising. I think they don't do it. I lean Ohio State on this one. 3.5 is a lot of points, though. A 3-point, lot of points. I'm not confident in the touchdown, but I am confident that they win the game. I'm going to say they cover the spread just for the sake of having fun. But I hate both of these teams. They've already wronged me.
Well, I think maybe a safe play here could be the under, just because I think both these teams' defenses are good. 45 is low for college football, but I could see this being like 23-20, something like that.
The under has hit 3 of 4 games in Happy Valley. So
yeah, I just think that last week for Ohio State was so bad that they'll bounce back this week against a team that will be a much bigger test, and they'll get up for this game. Like, I haven't forgot what happened against Oregon. Like, Oregon's good. They went to Oregon and almost won. Hell, they were favorites on the road at Oregon, right? Yeah. Remember, Tommy, when I said Oregon was going to win? You said Ohio State was going to win?
I thoroughly remember that day.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that both teams, they need this win, I think, in terms of their resume and stuff like that. But I think Penn State for a long time, before this expanded college football playoff, it was always like they were always on the outside looking in whenever they had a good team. And this is a year where, it's a lot easier for them to get in for sure because of expanded playoffs. But I'm looking at their schedule, and if they win this game, I'll be in on them. But
yeah, I mean, they'll go undefeated if they win. They win.
But one thing that scares me about wanting to take Penn State, because as you know, Tommy, Blake, about to learn, I love a good home underdog. I'm addicted to wanting to bet the home underdog.
Yeah.
But strength of schedule, man. Ohio State 26th, Penn State 109. I don't know, man. I feel like Ohio State's been tested a little bit more, and I just think that they're going to come out and play a way better game than they did last week against a team that they were 25-point favorites to do.
Well, yeah, they beat Illinois by 14. That was pretty that was their most impressive win.
Sure.
They squeaked by USC in overtime when they shouldn't have. USC is proving to be not that great of a team. They eventually did take off last week against Wisconsin and Madison. Ohio State is not a fluky team, and they've shown it every single week. Last week, like you said, not great coming out of the bye. They probably weren't super focused on Nebraska considering what had just happened to Nebraska, and Nebraska a little bit more fired up. I'm not saying that Penn State won't be ready to play this football game. I'm just saying Ohio State's a better football team than them.
Yeah, that's where I feel. So best of luck, Blake. But
roll
not.
solo.
Best of luck, but no. But do we all? Does anyone feel the over? I feel under, but
I want to believe in the over in this one because I think Ohio State is going to put up some points here. Penn State's defense is very good. So where are we at? We're at 42, I believe. Is that what I saw? 42 as the total? 45, excuse me. 45 and a half. Yeah, that's a little high. A little high. I like that.
I'll roll under. You can switch the conferences, you can kill off the Pac-12, but there's never a match made in heaven like the Big Ten and unders. So
yeah.
I will
Good point.
I'll be rolling under.
Yeah. I'll just stick with Ohio State on this one.
Okay. Next game. It's also in the 11 o'clock slate. Air Force and Navy. All right.
For the troops.
Military Service Academy unders are 44-9-1 over the last 20 some years. That said, Navy and whoever the hell they played earlier in the year went way over. I think it might have been Army, to be honest with you. 44-9-1 when Air Force, Navy, or Army match up. Now, obviously, Navy, as you proved to me correctly last week, Tommy, because you took the over between Notre Dame and Navy. The total here is 42, and I feel like in recent years, if it's not below 35, what are we doing? Seeing 42 seems crazy to me, but with this Navy offense, it does kind of scare me. But I'm going to play the under because over 80% over a long stretch of time. Also, Air Force I don't think is very good. Will they score points? I don't know. Will Navy put up all 42 points?
You mean Army?
Army.
Or Army, I mean.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yes. Army and Air Force. I'm sorry. I don't know why I said Navy.
Not only will Army
makes me feel, I still feel the same. No, matter
I get it. Yeah, no matter. Not only is Army going to cover the 21.5, they will win this game 49-0. I have taken Army overs all year, and it has been a delight. And I've had so much fun. I can tell you just how delightful it's been. Last week against Eastern Carolina was the only time it did not go well. And the over was 54. Wait, I'm sorry. It did go over. I'm sorry. The week before that, UAB, they let off the gas 44-10. They stopped. So the over was 55.5. They only got 54. Yeah. This is Air Force. This is a rivalry game. There's no way they're taking the foot off the gas. I think they win 49-0 and everybody goes home happy. So I'm taking Army minus 21.5 and I'm taking the over in this game.
Yeah, I said Navy because Navy and Air Force played earlier in the year on October 5th. It was 34-7. The total was 41, or the total was 37, and it got to 41. So,
yeah. Air Force, not good. Not a good football team.
No, they're 1-6 and 0-4 in conference. So that's why I asked, will Air Force score anything? Will Army go over themselves?
Yeah. Yes, they will.
Okay. Blake, you got to play on this game?
No, I really don't. I mean, it's no, I'm staying away from it. I have a couple other plays. It's kind of like I said, when I look at some logos and especially two of the troops, I always respect the troops, but when it's the troops versus the troops, I'll let them fight it on the field. I'll stay away from this one, but I got a couple other ones I like on the board.
Okay. I'm just going down the line here on DraftKings. Ole Miss, number 19, Ole Miss at Arkansas. Arkansas 7-point dog at home.
Home dog.
And this is where they reeled me in. Give me Arkansas +7 at home against Ole Miss. Arkansas, they did upset Tennessee just a few weeks ago. Ole Miss 6-2, Arkansas 5-3. Both are tied in strength of schedule. Tough road environment for Ole Miss here in this spot. And I think the big question here is, will Arkansas be able to run the ball against the number one rushing defense in the country? And if I'm taking them +7, I feel like they will be able to do that. They'll be able to sustain some drives, score some points, and hang around in this game, I believe. Give me the Razorbacks. Woo Pig Suey. Is that their thing? Yeah. Give me them against Ole Miss. I don't know. Ole Miss, just not a believer, man.
Here's the thing. In this matchup, the last 5 times they played, the home team victorious every single time. Doesn't matter who's favored. Doesn't matter the spread. The home team victorious every single time. I'll play along. I'll take the 7.5 at home. These are, like you said, like their strength of schedule, very similar. This is the exact same team playing the exact same team. 7.5 at home. I'll take that. And I'm sprinkling money line too, just to go off my little stat there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm riding the bus too. Arkansas +7, 7.5, wherever you can get it. Mo State guy, graduated from Mo State, and Bobby Petrino, now head coach at Mo State, now the OC over at Arkansas. I'm a Bobby Petrino guy. So give me the Razorbacks too. And like you said, Jackson Dart on the road. Has he got the stones to win? Has he got the stones to cover? I don't think so. So
now, Bobby Petrino, did he get up and take his girlfriend on the motorcycle and then crash and then just leave your team like he did the Atlanta Falcons?
I was no witness to any of Bobby Petrino's scandals while at school, but
just
the Bears were good. We're going to the CUSA next year, so watch out for them Mo State Bears. That's all I'm gonna say. Buy your stock now because you'll be sad when you'll be sad when it's too hot.
I love it.
Buy your stock now on Missouri State. Okay,
go Bears.
If there's anything you need to know, it's
they're bear up.
Yeah, I bear up on Saturdays and bear down on Sundays. So
nice,
incredible.
There you go. That is incredible.
Just incredible.
Okay. Moving down a little bit here. I don't have a play on this. This is more of I'm trying to get a feel for it because I feel like the play should be easy here, but Vegas thinks otherwise. Oregon and Michigan. Oregon 15-point favorites at Michigan. Total is 45.5. Like Oregon, I mean, they just demolished Illinois, and Illinois beat Michigan. Mm-hmm. Michigan was on their third or fourth quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I know Michigan just beat Michigan State, but that, no offense, Tommy, that like
none taken. It was bad. It was so bad.
Yeah. It's like I feel like the spread should be in the 20s. What am I missing here?
I think they're just disrespecting Oregon.
Yeah,
that's what it feels like to me. I feel like this is a disrespect thing more than anything.
Their first week as number one in the country, they not only do they beat Illinois, but it was a freaking boat race at halftime.
Yeah, let's take a look at their schedule and see what they got coming up before I make any decisions here. But yeah, it just feels a little bit disrespectful.
I feel Oregon -15 is the play.
Yeah, it's 14.5. I see it at one book. So,
like, I feel like they should.
I mean, they're at Michigan, then Maryland, then at Wisconsin, and then Washington. It's not like they're looking ahead for anything.
Yeah. The only thing that I can come up with is the fact that they have to travel across the country, but like not even fully, like to the Midwest, not to like Rutgers.
This is their first trip east. Well, no, they did Purdue. They took care of Purdue, 35-0.
Yeah.
And we both said that Purdue would cover that game, and they did not. So
They did not.
The only thing that I could argue against it, and I'm not even a full believer in this. This is simply throwing some words out there and sparking some conversation.
That's what this podcast is, brother.
This college football season has been a hot potato on who can keep the number one pick and how fast people are not the number one pick, the number one ranked team, and then pass it to the next team. I mean, shoot, who's been all number one this year? Texas, Georgia, Alabama for a week.
I don't recall Texas ever being number one, but go on.
I think they were.
No, he's being sarcastic because he took Texas against.
That was the week, yeah. So we're on our fourth, and maybe I'm probably missing another team in there. Now we're on our fifth team, being the number one ranked team. There's a lot of parity, so maybe they're 15-point favorites, so it's not like they're predicting they're going to win by more than two scores.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I don't know. I if I had to pick on the spread, I'd take Oregon, but again, I mean, who's to say this is just another week where they're just going to toss it to the next team, which, like we said earlier, I mean, the winner of Ohio State, Penn State, I mean, who's ranked number 2? I mean, that the winner of that game and then Oregon loses, that could be the next number 1 team. So who knows?
Is Georgia number 2? I'm assuming
Georgia's number 2. Yeah. They play Florida, that's a game that we'll get to. Then it's Penn State or Ohio State. So the winner of that game could be number 1 for all we know. And then it's Miami, Texas, Tennessee, Notre Dame, BYU, and then Texas A&M to round out the top 10.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'd still take Oregon, but just throwing that out there with the parity, I can see why it's a little lower, especially on the road.
Yeah. I'll take Oregon minus 15 straight up. I'll do it.
Okay. I was gonna say maybe a play from this game that might feel safer is Oregon over 30.5 points, like team total.
It's definitely an option.
I think like Michigan's defense is good. Is it as good as last year's? I would say no. So I'm like, if Michigan somehow covers the spread, do they still put up points though? Like, do they does Michigan magically hang around with scoring touchdowns via the run? I'm assuming, right? Like, I don't know. I just feel
Michigan Stadium is 4-2 this year on the overs. For whatever that's worth, depending on who goes in. Michigan State helped crush that over last week, by the way.
Credit to the Spartans. Okay. All right. I too will ride Oregon minus 15. I'm going to wait though and hope that it comes down to 14.
It's not a bad idea. But I feel like the way that we're thinking, I feel like it would go in the other direction.
Perhaps if you want to increase the juice, alternate line. Minus 21. Let's go. Minus 20.5.
That's wild.
3 touchdowns.
Responsibly.
Right? Responsibly. Yes, this is responsibly. Okay. Florida at Georgia.
This is the world's largest cocktail party. It is a game that is played in Jacksonville, Florida.
Oh. Yes. So it's like a neutral site.
Correct. They do this every year. I was once raised in the South against my will. This is a big deal down there. A lot of Georgia fans and a lot of Florida fans. Jacksonville is a good happy median for them to get from Athens to Gainesville and meet together and play a football game. They call it the world's largest cocktail party. Basically, everybody just goes to the parking lot of the Jacksonville Jaguar Stadium and gets absolutely hammered and then go watches a football game. Now, back in the day, this rivalry was fun because both teams were good. Yeah. That's not been the case for a very long time because Florida is a terrible football program and Georgia is a very good football program. So there's your history lesson, boys. The spread is 16.5, and I will take Georgia every which way.
It's going to be real funny when they don't cover this after you took Texas.
Give me the over. 52.5. Florida, Georgia, over 52.5.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say I want to take Georgia 16.5 too. And 50, I do feel like the over could cash, but anytime I take Georgia in the over, it never wants to hit because
you stay with Georgia.
Sometimes
I'll stay with the
over. Like sometimes they start out slow, you know what I mean? Like I don't know. Like
there is still
Florida's
a lot of hate for there. Yeah, there is still a lot of hate for Florida. I will say that. And when they play Florida, we've seen the last couple of years too. They do not let up in the fourth quarter. They absolutely hammer them. So that goes well for you, goes well for me on the over.
Okay. Blake, you got play on this game?
Yeah, I'm rolling Georgia. It's although that was a great history lesson, Tom. I like how you ended it out with very simple terms. Florida's a bad football program. Georgia's a good one. They're coming off a bye, and we're getting down to November here, fellas, of the college football playoffs to be before you know it. And Georgia knows that it's waffle stomping time. It's go out there, it's beat the teams you're better than, and roll to the next one. Don't look back. So
it is also and I think this is probably why the spread has come down. I think this was in the 20s at one point, but they are coming off the bye and they are coming off the huge win over Texas. So is this a letdown spot? Yes. But does Georgia ever let down? I don't know. In terms of
maybe let down. No.
Yeah. And I should preface all of this with, it pains me to say because I hate Georgia. Like my family, like my sister, my parents, they've all adopted Georgia over the years. And I feel absolutely betrayed because it is the exact same logo as the Packers. Like, what are we doing as a family? So I hate them, but they're good. So if they're going to make me money, then so be it.
Yeah.
They have Florida this week, and then they go to Ole Miss next week at home versus Tennessee. Then they have a huge game at home against UMass, and then the annual game against Georgia Tech. So they could be looking at Ole Miss and Tennessee. I don't know, but they don't normally look ahead of Florida. They love pounding Florida. So
I was gonna say it was a massive blowout last year, like 42-20, I believe is what I read. So that would cash you an over. But will they allow 20 points?
Eventually, yeah.
Okay.
What's the weather? I need to see the weather. If it's raining, we could be in trouble. Sunny and 83. Give me the over.
All right, I'll ride the over on this. I actually feel better about the over than I do the spread. Give me the over 52.
Let's go.
All right. Let's move along. Texas Tech at Iowa State. Tommy, were you happy whenever Texas Tech and TCU cashed the over in a hilarious fashion last week?
Yeah, it was awesome. So much fun.
That's one I gave out, and I was like, these two teams don't play defense, and it was like
they waited until the very end of the game, but they eventually stopped playing defense. You were dead on, just like my Daniel Jones interception.
Yeah,
he did it.
Right now. Texas Tech, honestly, they probably should have won the game. They blew it. Now they have to go on the road to Iowa State, 13.5 points. Iowa State's really good, man. Number 11 in the country. Total is 56.5. Iowa State, much better defensive team than TCU, in my opinion. I kind of like the under here. And I guess I lean Iowa State, but I don't really have a play on this, but I lean under.
Yeah, I'm staying
as much as it's a Big 12 game, and I should not do that. But do we have a play on this? Does anyone have a play on this game?
I don't.
Officially?
I didn't, but I feel like in principle, over 56.5, like
revenge spot.
Yeah. Like, let's get this done at halftime. Iowa State's a really good football team.
Yeah. They are. They're 13.5. You think they win by 2 touchdowns? It's the time to get them. So
you know what? Yeah, I'll trust them to win by 2 touchdowns. I'll take 13.5.
Okay. Iowa State coming off. Well, they were 13.5 point favorites against UCF last week. They won by 3, but they have covered 5 out of their 7 games that they've played this year. The best team they've probably faced is Arkansas or Iowa. They came back and beat Iowa.
Yeah.
So
Texas Tech this week and then at Kansas next week. Not really a look ahead spot. I think their next best game is going to be at home that following week against Cincinnati. Cincinnati, kind of a scrappy team. So, I like them 13.5. I feel like that's about the right line for them. Undefeated, 11th ranked team in the country. Texas Tech, not super good at defense, but 13.5. That sounds good. I like it.
Okay.
They got Colorado next week, so they're probably looking at that.
Roll Buffs.
All right. Texas Tech quarterback says he's probable. So, in case anyone's wondering, I don't have a play. Maybe Iowa State. Now, this next game, I do have a play. Indiana at Michigan State. Michigan State 7.5 point underdogs at home. Total is 51.5. Now, last week, Tommy, we sat here and said Kyle Schwarber is guest picking. College game day is here. We have to take Indiana. Like they have to cover this. It would just be an absolute failure if they do not only win but also cover with Kyle Schwarber guest picking and the fact that College game day was in Bloomington for the first time ever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not only did they do that, but it was pretty much a cakewalk.
It was easy.
It was
a very easy bet.
It was. Now they have to go on the road, and they're 7.5 point favorites, and Curtis Rourke is questionable. Does that mean he's going to play? How's the thumb doing, brother? Right now, because I like Michigan State's defense and the fact they're at home, they have a chance to upset a team that hasn't lost. They've played a tougher schedule. They have the 27th ranked strength of schedule, and they're 27th in red zone efficiency defense in the country. 7.5, Indiana letdown spot. Give me the Spartans. I feel disgusting doing it, but I'm gonna do it.
Don't fire me up like this.
Didn't even say win. He just said cover, and you're fired up. I'll even you out a little bit for you, and then you can give your pick. I'm gonna be taking the Hoosiers here. I'm gonna take them a half point down just because I'm scared of that extra half point. It's just who I am. If I'm gonna alt it, just give me the extra half point, and I'll feel a lot better about it. Indiana's covered 7.5, 7 every game this season, every game. So I mean, I get it, strength of schedule, whatever, but there's some of these teams in college football this year too. I mean, you can throw BYU in this bucket as well. It's like everyone's expecting a letdown spot for them at some time, but is it going to come for any of these teams? I mean, like I said, we're getting down to it toward the end of the season, and Indiana just might not. They just might be those guys. They might be those guys, pal. So give me Indiana here, -7 again, alting at a half point, but 7.5. I don't feel too much worse about it, but just for not a math guy, but a math guy for math's sake, give me the extra half point, make it 7.
Okay.
I'm going to take the under. I like Michigan State's defense. The Indiana possibly having a quarterback situation certainly helps my thinking there. I like the under for two different perspectives. One, maybe Cody is right, and this is a tighter game than normal. If it's a tight game, it's going to be a low scoring game. And it's a 2:30 start at Spartan Stadium. So that means the sun's going to go down in the second half. You kind of get the lights going. It feels very defensive. But then on the other hand, if Blake's right, Indiana just goes in there and just rolls them, we're talking like 35-7, 42-7. Either way, I just don't see them getting to 50 points, and the total is 51.5 right now. So I will take the under and be wearing my green and hoping the Spartans do something absolutely insane.
All right. Well, Michigan State's covered 75% of their games this year. All right. Not that matters in hindsight, but
thank you for that.
I'm just trying to make you feel good about it.
I appreciate you.
The spread was at 14.5. It's all the way down to 7.5. So a lot of money coming in on the Spartans, I guess.
Maybe.
Call me sharp. Call me the sharp one.
Call you the sharp one. Yeah. No, I don't feel good about Michigan State's offense. It's not that I'm not even a believer in Indiana. Like, you do what you did against Washington at home last week. Like, that's impressive. The way they beat up on Nebraska, sure. Like, impressive. I don't know. Like, they have to be looking ahead to Ohio State already, in my opinion.
Yeah, but they got to get through Michigan and Michigan State both to get there first.
Sure. Yeah. I guess for me, it's not that I'm not a believer, but going on the road in the Big Ten and covering a touchdown is tough, in my opinion.
This will be just this is really only their second road test this year. They did have to go to UCLA, but UCLA has not earned their Big Ten stripes yet, so I'm not giving that to them. And their other one was Northwestern. So
Northwestern's bad.
Yeah. And Michigan State, look, they're a very average, not super great football team, but going to Spartan Stadium is a hard thing to do. Maybe I'm biased, but it's not a cakewalk when you go up there. So,
and Michigan State has beat some decent teams. Like, they beat Maryland, who I think has won some impressive games. I think their win over USC was, even though USC is not turned out to be as good as I think we all thought they were, but you know, to win that game, I think is impressive. They probably should have beat Boston College.
Yeah, that was a tough watch, but I mean, scoring 30 on Iowa is a big deal.
Yeah,
they did that, and they only lost by a touchdown last week to Michigan. So
yeah, and they have played Oregon and Ohio State, so they have seen the best teams in the country. Yeah. They got blown out in those games, but they have played against really good teams.
Yeah.
And I guess if you want to count it, like, they did actually cover against Oregon. So the 22.5, baby.
Yeah, they covered, and they held them to 31 points. Yeah. So that's
something that Illinois couldn't even do. So.
Yeah, that's kind of a win. So
yeah, I don't know. I guess if Indiana, I wonder how I'll feel next week if Indiana covers the spread. Like, will I feel any different when they go and play Michigan? Probably not. So I guess we'll just
tune in next week to find out.
We'll see. All right. What else we got? As far as like official plays for me, I only have one more, and it's not a top 25 game. Is there any other ranked games that you guys have?
I have one. I can make this very quick too. Kentucky versus Tennessee. I don't know if you guys have watched the video on their social media yet of what uniforms that they're wearing for this game at night in Rocky Top. But you just need to go look up their football socials. Whoever made this video does not get paid enough money. I don't care what their salary is.
Yeah.
They're these like black ones with the.
Oh yeah, it's the black ones, but they did a whole Venom thing, like Spider-Man Venom thing to it. Oh my God. I have been singing the really slow like down Rocky Top, like the hype thing, like the really slow one. I have been singing it all week long. I thought this spread was going to be like 27.5 or something stupid, and I was all ready to take it, and it's 16.5. So this is I'm not even looking. I understand that Tennessee is fluky, but you can't not cover the spread in these uniforms. So Tennessee 16.5.
Good old Rocky Top. Woo!
Yeah, but that's too fast. You're doing it too fast.
I only know the fast version because I used to hang out at Sedgwick Stop all the time, which is a Tennessee bar here in Chicago.
Good point. Yeah.
I'm in. Give me a good old fashioned uniform bet. Give it to me. Let's go. Yeah. Give me the Vols. I'll text my Tennessee friend, tell him that we're literally betting them just because of the uniform.
That's exactly why I'm betting.
Vibes play, man.
Yeah. Vibes play. That's the vibes play of the week.
There we go.
Vibes play of the week.
Just another vibes play.
Hell yeah.
Just another vibes play. There you go. That should be a segment. We'll just call it the vibes play of the week. Just another vibes play. Yeah.
I like that.
Why not?
Okay.
I got a quick play. I want to throw out there. I don't want to commit to it because honestly, Cody, I want to see your thoughts on it because you're an Illini guy. I'm not.
Yeah.
You were talking home dogs. The Fighting Illini are home dogs against Minnesota, and every time Illini's had to step up to the occasion, outside of last week, they've kind of pulled it off and rose to it. At Nebraska, they win. At home against Kansas, who was ranked at the time. We'll give them credit. At the time they were ranked. That was a huge win for Illini. And really, when they went to Penn State as underdogs, they had every opportunity to win.
Mm-hmm.
So how are the Illini plus 2.5, and why should I not bet them? Tell me why I shouldn't bet them. And if you don't have an answer in 10 seconds, then I will. You don't have to convince me.
Well, I will say Minnesota. This is one of the few years Minnesota under PJ Fleck has actually kind of impressed me.
Yeah.
They beat USC as 8-point underdogs. They have won 4 straight after losing by 2 touchdowns to Iowa, but Michigan, USC, UCLA, which isn't anything, and Maryland coming off that big win against USC. They blew them out last week. I think over the last 4 weeks, especially, they've looked really impressive. They were fine a fine team in their non-conference, even though they didn't really play anyone except for, I guess, North Carolina, which they should have beat North Carolina. They missed a field goal at the very end of the game. So I think 3 points. It's a 3-point spread. Like Illinois at home. 2.5, whatever.
Money line plus 125. A little extra juice.
Illinois at home. Like I do think, they played Oregon last week. And they had to go all the way across the country. And they were 20-plus point underdogs. No one thought they were going to win that game. I will say I think we kind of thought they would at least maybe hang around for a quarter, and that was not the case either. They call Illinois DBU. Defensive backs come like they breed them there, basically. Yeah. I think this could be a really like a defensive game. That's usually how I feel like Illinois and Minnesota always go. I think that Illinois has been a more impressive team than Minnesota. I think they're underdogs just because of how bad it did look against Oregon. So I just, you look at Minnesota's schedule. Sure, they beat Maryland, they beat USC, but they did lose to Michigan, and they should have beat North Carolina. Not that matters anymore. I think Illinois has played a better schedule. They've won more games impressively. Yeah. I if I could bet it here in Illinois, I would take it. I can't even do it at the DraftKings Sportsbook at Wrigley anymore because it's against the law. So,
all right, I'm sold.
Yeah,
you're a hell of a salesman. I'm in.
Minnesota this week. They got Michigan State, the final home game next week. So that's senior night, and then they go to Rutgers, and then they play at Wrigley Field against Northwestern. So,
yeah, if they win out, I'll probably try and find a ticket to go.
Yeah, that next day, Chicago Cubs season ticket holder, I get to play on the field.
Oh, good for you.
Football. Go play some football, boys.
Go play some.
Show them how it's done. Show them how it's done.
Show them how it's done. Yeah. Okay. All right. So the one play that I had that is not a top 25 game was Vanderbilt and Auburn.
I had this written down as well, but I wasn't confident.
Vandy +7 just feels like free money. I took Vandy against Texas last week, and they not only did they cover the 18.5, they lost by 3. Like the books just continue to sell on Vandy, I feel like. And Vandy's got some impressive wins. Hanging around with Texas, I think, is impressive. And Auburn's 3-5 and 1-4 in conference. Like, what am I missing here? Like, I feel like I have to continue to ride Vandy like I did last week.
Yeah, I think you convinced me there. I'll come with you. Vanderbilt +7. I feel that. Are they missing a player?
I don't think so.
Let's double check.
No. Well, according to Outlier, they don't have anyone on their injury report.
Oh. Well, then what are we doing?
Like, I'm just, strength of schedule is, they even have a higher strength of schedule. They're 54th in the country, and Auburn is 66th.
All right.
Not too different, but 7 points. Like,
yeah, I'm coming with. Say no more.
Shout out to Nashville. Give me the Commodores.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit this one out. My college football slate got increasingly more loaded as we talked about it. So I think my fun is set for Saturday.
Yeah, before we recorded, I said I had 3 games. I now sit here with 11 plays on my piece of paper.
All right. Well, now I'm going to give you another play, Blake, because it's time for the weekly college football money line parlay. All right. Are you guys ready? I mean, we've talked about some of these games already, but I guess
we're 0-3 on this, but I feel like we're getting close.
All right. And Blake, if you want to ride this, you can switch out one of the teams here because you're riding against me on one of them. But the first leg, Ohio State money line. Last week was a trap game against Nebraska, and they pulled it out. I think they show up and act like the number 3 team in the country that they are. Leg number 2, Virginia Tech money line. The Hokies wagon has been rolling ever since they lost that game against Miami that they should have won, in my opinion. Nebraska money line. They've lost 2 straight, and they're due. They play at home this week. Give me the Huskers. Next one, Iowa money line. Wisconsin has beaten no one. They've beaten no one. Give me the corn people from Iowa over the milk people in Wisconsin.
Hell yeah. Corn over milk all day long.
Okay. And then we got to have one underdog to get that extra juice. Plug your nose. Washington money line. USC is 1-4 their last 5 games against top 25 defenses. I'm just, as we've talked about through this show, like USC is just, they're not a convincingly good team, even though they did end up blowing out Rutgers like I feared last week. Washington back at home, bounce back after the Indiana game. Let's go Huskies. That comes out. That 5-leg parlay comes out to plus 1128.
I don't feel that bad about that.
Well, you shouldn't because it's going to hit, so we're in good shape.
No, Blake, he can go with Penn State if he wants, and he get extra juice if they actually do win. But
hey, I only need 3.5. So Ohio State win by 1.
Okay.
I won't get greedy here.
If he wins the parlay because of that one leg and we lose the parlay, I'm gonna be very upset.
Now it feels like I have to do the Penn State.
Man.
We'll see how I wake up on Saturday. Who knows?
That's fair.
You could easily change his mind.
That's right. Can.
All right. That's it. Week 10 college football slate has been discussed, and I'm ready to be hurt again by a bunch of adults or young adults slinging the pigskin.
Look, I have 13 plays on here. I'll do a guarantee right now. If I don't give you at least 7 winners on Saturday, I'll give you every pick for the rest of the year for free. Every single one of them.
Aren't you giving them all for free anyway?
Shut up. This is the bit. It's the bit.
I just wanted to put that out there. All right. We'll be back Friday for NFL. What is it, week 9?
Yeah.
Week 9.
And as we talk in the past, we will definitely be undefeated on the week because we're going to get all our bets correct about Thursday Night Football. So,
well, somebody's going to be wrong. Congratulations to the Texans on their big win.
Aaron Rodgers back in MVP conversation.
Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers sets
3 touchdowns and a pick
Aaron Rodgers sets the new NFL record for most interceptions in a game with 12. Crazy. What a game.
Yeah. All right. Well, future selves, look out. Look out for the future selves.
Look out.
All right. We'll see y'all Friday. Thanks for hanging out. See ya.